Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin for the win, and we're back for another edition of Diablo 3. Today on the channel, we are taking a look at the Patterns of Justice set armor for the Monk class. Arguably the second best armor that you can run for the Monk. Alright, so here it is without further ado. Patterns of Justice. 2-piece bonus. Sweeping Wind gains the effect of every ruin, and movement speed is increased by 5% for each stack of Sweeping Wind. 4-piece. Attacking with Tempest Rush reduces your damage taken by 50% and increases spirit regeneration by 50. 6-piece bonus, hitting with Tempest Rush while Sweeping Wind is active, increases the size of Sweeping Wind, and also increases the damage by 15,000%. So we're going to be using mostly a full set of Patterns of Justice. In fact, we are using a full set, but we're going to be using other things to help augment its power, such as like Kyoshiro's Belt, Obsidian Ring of Zodiac, Convention Elements, Waku Lam for the weapon, Vengeful Wind for the weapon, Cesar's Memento for the bracer. Rondo's Locket is a placeholder here, so this is what you're going to want to run on the build. Primary, Crippling Wave, Rising Tide, Tempest Rush, Flurry, Epiphany, Desert Shroud, Sweeping Wind, Inner Storm, Blinding Flash, Faith in the Light, and now for also the Mantra of Salvation. For the passives, Beacon of Yitar, Harmony. We also want Seize the Initiative and Relentless Assault, Kanai's Cube, Balance, Mantling and Channeling, and Ring of a Grandeur. All three of those are incredibly important for the build to work. This is what my Paragon looks like concurrently. If you need a breakdown of this on paper, there will be a link in the description that you can check out, which will give you a sample armor build to the one I'm using. For the follower, Broken Crown, Flavor of Time, and Nemesis Bracer. Everything else is kind of okay to have, but it's not going to do anything tremendous to help really push your power even further and get your clear times a little bit down. For the purpose of this demonstration, we will be doing a greater of 60, a greater of 70, and a greater of 80. And that way you can see how the armor performs between Torment 13 through Torment 16 plus difficulty. Now, the only other armor that's even better than this one concurrently for the Monk would be Ina's Mantra, which I have covered. It is available in the playlist, so definitely make sure to check that out if you haven't done so already, because that is shaping up to be the S-tier build for this particular season of Diablo 3. That's like the end-all to be-all at the moment. Anyway, let's get into a greater Riff 60 so I can show exactly how fast this is going to be. Alright. So when you get into the Grey Rift, the first thing that you're going to want to do is obviously you want to activate your Sweeping Wind, get a couple of stacks. Then you're going to hold in your Tempest Rush. As you hold in your Tempest Rush, not only are you going to be getting back your spirit, but on top of that you see how the circular radius of the Sweeping Wind gets increased, so you're going to do a tremendous amount of damage. Now this is a speed farming type of armor, so you can basically run through things. In fact, I'd say this is the better Tempest Rush variation to use, as opposed to, let's say, the Monkey King's Garb, which takes a lot of our moving pieces, and the decoys never really do as well, in my personal opinion. So if you want to run Sweeping Wind for Monk, this is particularly the way to go. Now, in terms of optimization, what can you do with this particular armor? Well, first and foremost, I would recommend on your helm, anywhere that you can get crit hit chance 6.0%, definitely do so. On your glove, I recommend these three stats: crit hit chance 6.0%, crit hit damage 50%, and attack speed at least 8.0%. Those three stats on your gloves will increase your amount of clear times, and on top of that, it will also get you about 10 to 20 levels higher in your Greater Rift non-optimized. In terms of other further optimization that you would want to do with this particular armor, I would recommend anywhere that you could get resource cost generation at 8.0%. Do it, because you will burn through your spirit a little too quickly if you get a little too aggressive. Even with the 4-piece bonus, you can, in higher Greater Rift, start to run out of mana. Another thing that you could do, obviously, I would recommend cooldown reduction at 8.0% wherever possible, or higher, just so that you can get back your Blinding Flash quicker, you can get back your Epiphany quicker. Those little things, being able to activate them non-stop, will help you tremendously, so I would definitely recommend that. And also, you could, if you wanted to, Inferior, swap out the belt, and you could also swap out maybe the legs or the pants, and you could actually run Captain Crimson on here to get a little bit more out of it. I honestly prefer to have Kyoshiro's Belt as opposed to Captain Crimson in this particular build, because you really prefer having to, get your 2 Sweeping Wind stacks automatically, as long as you're not actually, standing still. It's very helpful in my particular personal opinion. So there's that. Then in terms of further optimization, obviously the monk is going to rely on its dexterity because it's a nimble type of class. So I would recommend you get the max rolls wherever you can of dexterity. Then from there, in terms of further optimization for the armor and the gear, anywhere that you can get Tempest Rush at 15%, definitely do so. Anywhere that you can get Sweeping Wind at 15%, definitely do so, because remember, although we're using Tempest Rush with the build, the main source of damage is actually coming from our Sweeping Winds being able to increase the radius and everything of the sort. So definitely make sure you do that. Riff Guardian, this is going to be pretty easy. We'll go back towards him. We can hit him with a Blinding Flash, and then we go Tempest Rush into the Sweeping Wind, and you will pretty much auto-pop most things thanks to Cesaro's momentum. So definitely that's how you pretty much take down some of the Riff Guardians. In terms of further optimization beyond the stats and everything that we've talked about, obviously you want every piece of your gear to be Ancient Legendary or Primal Ancient Legendary value. Ancient Legendary value are basically the gold border gear. Primal Ancient Legendary are the red border gear. If you are playing a seasonal character, you will not have access to Primal Ancient Legendary drops unless you clear a Greater Rift 70 solo. For a non-seasonal character, all you need to do is have one of your non-seasonal characters clear a Greater Rift 70, and then all the characters will have access to Primal Ancient Legendaries to drop. Primal Ancient Legendaries have a very low percentage of dropping, so trying to get exactly what you want is quite difficult. I think it's under 2% chance, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's closer to somewhere between a 1% chance that you're going to get a Primal Ancient Legendary drop from just gear, so keep that in mind. Let's see what the clear time is here. Greater Rift 60, Torment 13 difficulty, 2 minutes and 59 second clear time, and we're kind of daddling a little bit. Alright, Greater Rift 70, same strategy as before, activate our Sweeping Wind, then we are going to use our Tempest Rush to run through things at maximum speed, never really stopping, never really falling short of things. If you feel like you're going to take a lot of damage, or you feel like your resource generator, basically your spirit is running very, very low because maybe you're just kind of overdoing it with your Tempest Rush, or you're just rushing around and there's no enemies on the screen, which I don't recommend you do that, but I have seen people just in random lobbies do that, particularly with their playstyle. I don't recommend that you do that, so sweeping, definitely make sure you keep an eye on your spirit regeneration. If you feel like you're running low, Epiphany, and then you just use your primary resource, which is your Crippling Wave, to get back it very super quickly. That would be helpful more as you go higher up into the particular crater. Now, like we were talking about with regards to optimization, you want either Ancient Legendary or Primal Ancient Legendary gear. Then you want to take that piece of the gear, put it in the Kanai's Cube with a Legendary Gem. My recommendation, at least level 80 if you're struggling in the beginning. Preferably anywhere between 120 to 130 is usually what most people will recommend. And you want to augment that piece of armor so they get an increased amount of stats. You also have to put in, for the particularly in this class, that would be free Flawless Emeralds into the Kanai's Cube with the Ancient Legendary or Primal Ancient Legendary and the Legendary Gem. In terms of Legendary Gems, what should you be running on this particular armor? Bane of the Stricken, Bane of the Trap, and then you have an option. You could use Gloak of Swiftness, Stoic Alteration. Either or of those two will do just fine. I personally like the Gloak of Swiftness because I like to have things on super fast cooldown so that I'm not waiting an eternity to pop an Epiphany or to get another Blinding Flash going off, or so on and so forth. As you can see with this particular armor, it excels at running through enemies at blinding speeds. That for, you can get a tremendous amount of massacre bonuses. So this is very good at maintaining massacre bonuses. It's very good at speed running through things. At higher difficulties, it can still do significantly well. However, Ina's Mantra kind of has overtaken it in power, particularly the Water Ally build. I do have a build for Ina's Mantra Water Ally up on the playlist. Just check it out. It was one of the first, actually it was the first starter set build that I put out for the season of Diablo 3. So definitely check it out if you're a monk player, because I think that's really going to be the end-all to be-all. And I think, arguably, because of the way that the Echoing Nightmares have played out, where you're fighting endless waves and endless waves of enemies, that the Ina Mantra probably is the best way to actually do successful clears in the Echoing Nightmare. I personally didn't start with a monk this season because I've played monk the previous 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. So what I ended up going with is the Barbarian. So because of Legacy of Raykor, new set armor, they've done not new set armor, but they've reworked the set armor tremendously. I was very interested in trying that. I did have a tough time at the beginning of my season to start getting the gear that I need. Fortunately, it's got a little bit better. If you're interested in watching that type of stuff and me grinding in that and getting even guides and stuff ready for future video, I'd highly recommend that you check out our Twitch channel located at twitch.tv, Dreadscape Gaming, for that type of thing. Alright, Riff Guardian, same thing. We're going to blinding flash him, and then we run in with our sweeping wind. As you can see, it pretty much auto pops. Most of these Riff Guardians on the lower tiers, you're going to be able to, pop within relative ease. So, you know what? With the legendary gems, again, Bane of the Stricken, Bane of the Trap, Go Out of Swiftness, don't really deviate from that. That's all you really need. Bane of the Trap is probably one of the best, if not arguably the best gem to use in Diablo 3. In fact, I don't think there's any build, personally, that has ever kind of foregoed using Bane of the Trap right now, just as it stands. I'm surprised that Blizzard keeps Bane of the Trap the way it is, but considering how hard it gets as you go higher up in the Greater Rifts, you need that Bane of the Trap to do things. Alright, that was a Greater Rift 70. 3 minutes and 11 second clear time. I will show you in a Greater Rift 80 how well this performs, and then I will send you all on your merry way so you can replicate this build and be super happy in every freaking sort. If you have any questions, definitely make sure you leave them in the comments. I do respond to comments. I always respond to the comments in the comment section. I check it quite a bit. If you have questions about this or anything else, never hesitate to ask me a question in the comments. I get back to everybody. Keep in mind, obviously, make sure you use proper etiquette. I tend to respond to the people who are good. Are very nice in the comments and everything. Sorry, I appreciate feedback. I also appreciate constructive criticism feedback. Obviously, you have to do so in a very constructive way. But fortunately, everybody in my community is pretty nice. So if you have a question, definitely leave it in the comments. I will get back to you. I do check aggressively comments when they go live on videos, and I get back to you pretty much at, like, the drop of a pin and everything. So as you see, same strategy as before. Maintain your sweeping wind stacks. Then you're going to Tempest Rush through everything. This is Greater Rift 80, so this tournament 16 plus difficulty. You're going to pretty much rep through everything with shreds. It's also helpful that because of the Parents of Justice, we get all the ruins for our particular armor. It helps significantly. So here we go. Sweeping wind gets all the runes. Alright, let's take care of these enemies here. We'll run forward. So that's pretty much it. Now, in terms of, like, leaderboard placement, I would say Parents of Justice is a very good way to go. Ina's Mantra, Whirlwind Barbarian if you're playing Barbarian class, Demon Hunter, Gears of Dreadland, or the Embodiment Marauder. For the Wizard class, it's a toss-up. Chantotum Veer is not great for Echoing Nightmare, but it's great for Greater Rift pushing. Then there's the Frost Hydras, which I think are pretty good for Echoing Nightmare. As opposed to some of your Wizard options. For the Crusader, Bombardment Akan is probably your best way to go, but if you want a more tanky version for your Echoing Nightmare, I would recommend probably the Thorns Invoker, but I still think Armor Akan's a little bit better if you play smart and watch out for all the AoE effects, which you're very susceptible with. Honestly, there's not really, for the Witch Doctor, Zunimasa, Poison Darts. And if not that, I would say Mundanuga Regalia. I actually prefer Mundanuga Regalia for Echoing Nightmare, but those are the things that are doing very well. When I talk about basically metagame and S tier and everything of the sort, I'm talking about you're factoring in the endgame for this particular season. The endgame in the season is, yes, still getting to level 150, getting the highest leaderboard placement, but you also have to factor in order to do that, you need to Paragon farm, which now Echoing Nightmare gives you access to. Echoing Nightmare, you're fighting tons and tons of enemies that are constantly exploding, so there's a bunch of AoE effects on the screen. So you have to look at what's going to be more susceptible and better, which is why it's kind of ironic. Gears of Dreadland used to be so much better. Ina's Mantra is way better, particularly than maybe Parents of Justice, because the problem with Parents of Justice is it's not weak. But in Echoing Nightmares, when you're running across, killing so many things at the same time, and everything is exploding, to the point that the floor is literally fire, explosions, lava, whatever you want to consider it, you have to factor those in. That is it the most viable. I feel like, really, when it comes to Echoing Nightmare, most of the pet builds are the ones that are tending to excel the most because they could just hang back anything that's zoning. So Riff Guardian there, very simple strategy. We go Binding Flash, and then we go with our Sweeping Wind, making sure we have actually Sweeping Wind stacks. So we go Tempest Rush, and then we pretty much auto pop as you saw there. This is a still very, very good, very, very good armor. If you're not interested in doing anything in the Echoing Nightmare, which is kind of confusing, because then why really would you want to play the season in Diablo 3? Because that's mainly what the season is about. It's all about the Echoing Nightmare. This is good. Like, if you're going to skip Echoing Nightmare and you just want to clear through Greater, Ina's Mantra is better. Then from there is the Legend of the Monkey King set, which is a Monkey King Scarf. That's not really that good anymore. I'd say it's somewhere around upper B tier to lower A tier, if I had to say. And then the rest of the armor's like Liliana, that's bottom tier. Well, it's mid tier, I'd say. And then, like, Raiment of 1,000 Storms, that's by far the bottom of the tier when it comes to the monks. So, let's go back to base. See what we got here. Probably under fast clear time, somewhere in 3-minute range, I'd say. Probably 4 max. Alright, so level 80 tournament. 16 difficulty, 3 minutes and 9-second clear time. Let's see if we got any decent loot. I don't think we got any decent loot out of that, but let's check in case we got a Primal Ancient Legendary to drop. Tyrael's Might, that's not particularly useful for what we're trying to accomplish. Let's identify here. Countess Julia's cameo, not very good either. Hailcon's Assistant, not good. So we got not really anything great here. Let's see if maybe we could get at least a ring to turn this around. Stone of Jordan. If this was Diablo 2, that would be perfect. Unfortunately, we're not playing Diablo 2. We would be playing 2 Stone of Jordans. Wow. It's like they're telling people, hey, you forgot about Diablo 2, or these were actually ported. Heartslayer, that's terrible. Let's see at least if the pants are something decent here. Ina's. We already have Ina, rare one of that. Ancient Legendary, so we're going to salvage all this. Unfortunately, we didn't get any good loot that run, but that happens. You tend to not get that much great loot, so let's get rid of everything here. Next set of videos will be going live next week. One of them is going to be Zunimasa Poison Dart build, because I know a lot of people want to see that one and have been requesting it. I did do a Gargantua build of it earlier on. It was one of the first videos I did, because I think that's a little bit easier of setup for most people to work with in the beginning. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. As always, a like on this video is greatly appreciated. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, definitely consider doing so, as it helps the channel grow. It will be a link in the description for those who need to see it on paper, because I did maybe go a little too quick with certain things, so don't worry about that. Anyway, I'll see you for the next Diablo 3 video. Till next time, guys.